What's up, everybody? The one person that's on here, the Jack that's on here. I didn't want to. I didn't expect to live stream, but I figured I would. Um, I'm just out here taking pictures of this rental that was supposed to be clean and ready to rent. This is the one where I thought people were living in it during one of the last trailer park videos, and surprise, surprise, surprise! It's not really clean, and Ohio State hater. Are you my favorite? That could be possible. Hello, Teresa. Hi, Sweden. Sweden? That's where my wife's great-great-grandma is from. Hi, from California. This is the one where we got it cleaned out. I've had 50, 60 applications on it, and I actually haven't been here for 2 weeks, and I was like, I should probably get some pictures and throw it up on the internet. And my cleaning crew never showed up. And we've already done showings on this. One of my workers showed it. No key shout out. One of my workers showed up, and okay, my maintenance guy just texted me now, and he's like, "Yeah, she's been there. She's cleaned the house, and she's one of my most reliable cleaners." And I'll flip this around real quick. I mean, there's dumb stuff like the transition needs tucked in. President Price in AFC Discord. So like, there's stains there, which this carpet is relatively new, and it can be cleaned, and she's cleaned it. So I'm doing a walkthrough, which I should have done, but I'm so busy with YouTube and with rentals and the trailer park and everything else. So I'm doing a walkthrough, and it's like, oh, that's good, that's safe, that's what everybody wants right there. Now, the bathroom doesn't look too bad at all. I can't do a wide angle. The bathroom isn't too bad, but it's insane. How much per month? This one's gonna be $625, water included. It's a 4-bed, 1 bath with a full basement. We'll do this. We'll go through the scary basement. But my guys know when they're in a place like this. Hey, go through and do a cleanup. And like, I don't think you guys can tell. I mean, maybe you can, but this is nasty. This is Ross. Oh, it's hot. I can almost guarantee it. So it's just, and yeah, it would, but it's like, this is totally unacceptable. There's dust bunnies and there's crap everywhere. Oh, great. There's a drywall patch. I'm glad that somebody patched the drywall, but you don't freaking patch drywall or patch paneling with drywall mud, which, I mean, we do this on other rentals, but what you do is you make it look nice by freaking painting the room and not patch the paneling. How dumb is that? And it's like, oh, people should know that Brandon's not a complete slumlord, but they're not doing what I'm asking. No, this isn't a Spoonie house. The person that used to live here watches and likes my YouTube videos. I think he's a pothead. This is in the really nice part of town too. This is a really good part of town, and can you see it? The backyard. We'll go outside. I don't think we did this. We'll do the basement too. The freaking backyard is amazing. If you can see it, this lot is like 250 foot long. Is it near the Bourbon Chicken place? I'm trying to think of which one's the Bourbon Chicken place. Most of my investors contacted me. The only first ones I contacted were the ones back in 2013, and I already knew them from Bitcoin forums and Bitcoin websites, and it was one of those situations where I knew that they knew me, and we're like, cell phone coverage. Oh, nuts. This is gonna be fun. The problem that I feel like that I have, and I never know to talk to people, is it my lack of communication? On signal down the base. Go figure. It wouldn't make a Wi-Fi. Yeah. Does it look better now? It's a concrete basement, so. How's it now? No, I mean I have 3 bars here or 4 bars on the first floor. Um, so the basement's not. I mean, it's not good. I mean, really, we debated on locking the basement and saying, "Oh, this is maintenance access and you can't use it." But whatever. I mean, okay, back to the employee thing. To me, one point, it's I know there's good employees out here because I actually hired a guy for contract work off YouTube. He watched the videos. Is like, I think I live close to your trailer park, and he's been working out pretty darn good. The only problem I had with him, it comes back to it, and it's one of those things where I'm thinking, man, I just need to be able to communicate with people better, and I just don't know the easiest way to do that at this scale. So I don't know. So I was really the only thing. The only thing that I was out here to do really was to go and take pictures of it. And my maintenance guy texted and said, "Oh no, it's clean. You paid her already for cleaning it. It doesn't look clean to me." I mean, there's a chance that the carpet stain that's in there is non-fixable. At least with the equipment she has, we might have to rent like an actual carpet cleaner. But for the most part, it should have been fixed. What we're doing with the boy is I've contacted a youth group. My church is actually buying a church building kind of out. It's like a partner buying a church type deal, and they've got a pretty decent youth group there, and I'm going to take some of my YouTube money and give it to the youth group and buy video games and stuff and try and help them. I've got Litecoin, Bitcoin, and a couple other stuff like that. Yeah, an industrial steamer is freaking amazing. And the issue is trying to find a affordable one that will work in these houses, because a lot of them run off an electric generator and they actually run off 440. So, but I have Bitcoin, Litecoin, XRP, Primecoin, CureCoin, a couple others like that. Hire company, no, because companies won't work for me. And the reason is, usually on a house like this, it's usually 2 rooms that need steam cleaned. And all the ones I deal with price it for 5. And when you tell them you only want 2 rooms cleaned, they quote you the same price as 5 rooms. And even when you tell them I would do 5 houses at one time on the steam clean, they still don't care. So for me, it would be better to just buy the equipment. So. I'm reading through my comments. So, and the carpet in that house is 2 years old. So, go figure. Yeah, I think once we get done with the current batch of carpet, we're doing high-end LVT and everything, just because it's worked out best for us in terms of longevity. So everything's going to be vinyl at some point, and then if they want carpet, then they just get a rug. So. Well, the problem is teaching at scale, which is what I struggle with right now. And, that is kind of the difficulty. How do I teach people exactly what I want with 140 rentals? And the properties are different. I've got single family detached. I've got duplexes. I've got triplexes. I've got quads and the trailer park. And each one has a little bit different of a standard. And what I'm trying to do is train a maintenance guy like as a lead, and then he's my go-between on the quality and what I want. So it's not Bissell. There's a company that I want to say is a subsidiary, or maybe it's a parent company of Rug Doctor. And the Rug Doctor company, they've got this one, and you run 2 big gauge extension cords into. And one runs the sweeper and the vacuum, and the other one only heats the water. And it gets the water super hot to the level of steam, because most of the most of the carpet cleaners you run into, they're actually called hot water extractors. They're not steam cleaners. And you have to get your water up to 210 degrees or whatever it is to steam your carpets. The good workers are out there, it's just locating them. Train them to manage the maintenance guys. I'm considering that, but the problem is I have to make sure that I have the right investments that cash flow enough to pay for whatever.
And to be honest with you, I don't run into enough hungry investors in my area. I've offered to mentor several. And I had one guy, and I've talked about him on my live streams multiple times before, but I offered to mentor him, and he said, well, I don't really want that because you only buy single family detached and duplexes. I only want somebody to mentor me with like Grant Cardone level investments, large multifamilies. And the thing is with that, it's like you can buy $25,000 houses here all freaking day long and make crap loads of money off of them. And he didn't want my advice because he wanted somebody to mentor him specifically in the Grant Cardone style. And I'm like, you rent your own house, bud, and I would much rather show you how to buy what I like and what makes money in our area. So there we go. Yeah. He says he's serious, and he has bought more course material in the past 2 years than I have in my entire life. So, and to be honest with you guys, it's why I am struggling with not releasing a course. Because you wouldn't believe these smart guys that I've talked to that are like, Brandon, why don't you have a course? Why don't you have a real estate course? Why don't you have a real estate course? I'm like, to me, they seem hokey, and I would prefer to just release videos on YouTube and get the YouTube money. And this one guy, I can't say who he is, but he's a very big guy. I mean, multi millions a year off of marketing. He runs like a phenomenally big digital marketing agency. And he's like, Brandon, you're giving up $500,000 to $1 million right now at your point on YouTube without having a course. And he's like, there's people that watch your videos that want to put money in your hand for a lot of prepackaged content. And I'm always like, but I want to make sure that people buy houses. We've already had one person off my videos get convinced to buy a trailer park. We have 4 people that bought laundromats. We got multiple guys that bought the first vending machine. A couple guys that have done their first single family detached, and we had one guy do a real estate deal with no money down on my master lease video. And it's like, oh, these guys are making money off my content. That's wonderful. But then I've had people say, Brandon, your content's better than anybody else. Why don't you make a course? I'd give you $2,000 or $3,000. And it's like, these people were offering to put several $1,000s in my pocket for doing not a whole lot. So I struggle with the course thing. I don't really want to, but am I a fool for not doing something that would make me 6 figures a lot this year? I thought about releasing a course and making the whole thing free, and then set it up of hey, do you want the whole course for free from Brandon? Like and subscribe and do crap like that. Or if you want to, you can pay me gobs of money for it. And there's people out there that would rather take $500 off their credit card than, like and subscribe and do that stuff, which I've really thought about that. I ran into somebody years ago that did a course like that. And it was essentially a thing where, hey, you promote my content or videos or whatever it was to 6 of your friends or 10 of your friends or whatever, you get everything for free. You don't want to go through that hoop, then you can pay me. So I don't know. It's just one of those things where I go back and forth. And then it's like, my style of investing works really well in Ohio and the Midwest, but I kind of feel like I would jip people in California when I say, hey, go out and buy a house for 20% of your market average. And some of these ultra high competitive markets, not that Columbus is not competitive, because it freaking is, but then I run into some of these people that my content would not work for them. I'm sure, produce content based on what I think would work in a high cost of living area, specifically going out and master leasing large houses as extended house hacks for Airbnb, because I know a guy that does that in Toronto, and he makes 6 figures a month. So, once again, I'm just talking off of the top of my head, because I would like for you guys to understand my thought process as compared to, just throwing it up on the internet one day and say, hey, yeah, I've thought about doing the mentoring thing. which Marco from Whiteboard Finance does it. I really like Dave Ramsey. I like 90% of his stuff. The only two things that I don't like is he sells whole life insurance to me, which is a huge scam. There's nothing that whole life insurance does that term life plus a Roth IRA can't. I don't like his information about leverage is okay for your average person that never wants to put effort into investments. If you want to put just a little bit of time into your investments, getting money or using leverage is fine. And then the biggest complaint I have about Dave Ramsey is that he promotes mutual funds over ETFs, and there's a huge detriment if you buy mutual funds in the traditional form. I don't know, because he has said before that whole life is a scam, but the problem is, from my understanding, when you contact the people that are associated with him with whole life, or with life insurance in general sense, they'll sell you whole life. So he won't sue me, because Meet Kevin's style of content is different than mine. Meet Kevin wants to say, oh, Dave Ramsey exposed and he's doing these awful, evil things. And I think Dave's a wonderful benefit to society because he has helped so many people escape the poverty trap and the debt trap. And until you have that stuff in your life figured out, when it comes to advising people, or say, people ask me, who should I watch on YouTube? It's like, watch Dave Ramsey because he's got a lot of good prepackaged information. So, but the ETF deal to me versus mutual funds, the biggest thing, because a lot of these mutual fund brokerages and stuff, they charge you 2% to manage the mutual funds compared to Vanguard, which is 0.1%. So that's a 1.9% spread minimum on funds. And that's a huge loss. Everything else he says is fine. So, I don't want to, am I losing money? No, I'm not. Because I pay mortgages on some of that stuff. I don't have a mortgage really on the trailer park. It is a loss on my gross receivables, my revenue. I should be making an extra $35K a month right now, but I'm not. But we're getting things figured out. So, I don't know what the home buying equivalent of Dave Ramsey would be, because I don't know. Maybe I should be that guy. If you want to buy a fixer-upper laundromat, they can be a good investment. It's just it varies. We clear net like 15 to 20K a month on my rental stuff, and then for better or worse, it goes in renovating new acquisitions and stuff, or at least what we have. Robert Kiyosaki's good for mindset content, like getting you motivated to be rich and to build wealth over a long term. When it comes to how he actually tells you to invest, to me, it's very poor quality. He's big on tax liens, which are great if you live in Florida and Arizona, but here in Ohio, you will never be a tax lien investor unless you have 15 million. It's like a 5 million minimum to buy tax liens in the state of Ohio. Nothing on with the arcade. Ugly Sweater winnings. They should be going out. They should have already gone out, but I have to research. Yeah, Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a book that everybody should read. I don't know about the PBS special, but you've got to be very careful on your mutual funds. And I know that someone said that there was some promotion going on at one time with certain mutual funds that had a 3 to 4% management fee, which is insane. Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on any of this. We might bring an on-site trailer park manager. The thing is, I deal with a lot of people that live right next door to it, so I've got to get somebody there to do the EPA inspections for me on a daily basis. So yeah, don't spend. I've made the joke to several people, and they've thought it's the greatest idea ever. I joked about building the most expensive real estate course, and it would be like $35,000, and at the end of the course, they give you a free house. And I had several people say, oh, that's a great idea, Brandon. That would be wonderful. You could mentor people, and then at the end of your course, they get a free house. And I said, but it's $35,000 or $30,000, or how much it is to go for me to acquire a house, put a renter in it, and sell it as part of the course. So now I look like a sober version of Shoe Nice, or that guy off of it's not King of Queens, but it's the one on CBS. What's the new one? Yes, is it yes, dear? I don't look like Peyton Manning. Yeah. Yeah, I look much more like Shoe Nice, especially with the blue hat. Either way. And then I eat something dumb, so. Yeah, the arcade should definitely have pinball in it. That would be fun. You need to use credit. You need to have credit. But to me, and this is the thing, this will put me at odds with a lot of the big YouTubers. A lot of these channels produce credit card content. And to me, it's like, if you want a good credit score, it takes 6 months to game the credit card system, get a 750. Yeah. That was the joke that I made. And then I said, well, then what else do I do for mentorship content? Do I charge per hour? Do I do calls? What do I do? I don't know. Yeah, Dave Ramsey, to me, comes off as the guy that would want you to save up the cash to buy a house. He's big on 20% down, 15-year loans, which, I mean, if you want to be stable economically, that's a great deal. If 20% more people, I did the numbers one day. If 20% like more people would put either 10 or 20% down and then do a 15-year loan, the mortgage crisis would have never happened, because the people that had to sell would have had equity. So nope, I've never been sued. I also do not know a single landlord that was ever sued. Tenant to landlord lawsuits are very rare, very, very rare. And the reason is because most of the time you end up in like discovery. You find out, because the law says that the landlord has to actually be negligent, and negligence is something very different, because you have to prove that the landlord did something with intent. And it's like, a landlord can't put asbestos and lead-based paint in a house. I mean, that would be insane. For BRRR, I've done a few successfully. Most of my properties are with investor money. I've only got like $450K on bank finance as it stands right now. And the reason is banks hate my dumpy little $50,000 houses. Like, they hate cheap houses. And the reason is, at least in the state of Ohio, it costs $5,000 to $10,000 to foreclose. So if a bank wants to loan on a $50,000 house, it then will cost them 10 to 20% to foreclose on you. And it makes lending on those properties very hard. So, now, the thing is, though, if you look at the total number of arms that were issued between 03 and 07, it wasn't enough to offset the market. Neither, in my opinion, were the alt A's. The problem was everybody was underwater, and you had a cascading failure when people have to sell. And if you can force equity in a house through down payments and through quick principal curtailment, and you only get that with 20 and 15-year loans. You don't get it with 30-year loans unless you overpay, which no one does. Yeah. And yes, this is live milk cap. And the thing is, though, if you really would think about it, if you're in a higher cost of living market, which, you know, probably like 40% of America is in a medium to high cost of ownership market, you cannot beat the market with saving cash back. In some cases, you can't do it trying to hit the 20% down payment threshold. Think about it. If the market's appreciating at 4 or 5% a year, which I would say, yeah, it's probably unsustainable, but you're still getting screwed out of buying a house. And, you know, there were a lot of people, still a lot of people that I know that say, Brandon, the recession's coming any day now. You shouldn't be buying houses. And they're the same people that were trying to find the bottom of the market in 2010, 11, 12, and 13, when the market did bottom out, because they were convinced, absolutely convinced, that we're going to lose another 30% in real estate prices. And it never happened. And now we're higher than the bubble ever was. And depending on what part of the United States you're in, there's a lot of areas that have phenomenal job growth. Like in my area, it's not from a real estate bubble in terms of banks giving out cheap money. I'm sure that has part to play with the prices. It's due to job growth and people moving here because of the job growth and a lack of supply, and then prices go up. So, you know, the thing is, with everybody's waiting on a recession. And I watched the Meet Kevin Marco Whiteboard Finance crossover, and it's one of those things where Marco has wonderful content. This is not a dig against Marco's real estate content, but he says, I'm waiting for the market crash. And anybody that tells you that you can time the market is, I mean, almost every stock trader says you can't time the market. It's just something you cannot win over time. But I've run into people like Marco that are trying to time the real estate market. And the biggest benefit of real estate is you can go out and beat prices by buying stuff undervalued. It happens all the freaking time. I haven't bought any property really overvalued market value. Everything I buy is under market value, and then I put some work into it and the price goes up. It's great. And you can buy, I helped my brother buy a three bed, one bath house, April 2007. Guess what? He still has it, and he's been making $300 a month since 2007. And the reason he's made money every single month for the past, 13 years is because he bought it under market price. He bought it as a foreclosure, put some work into it, and he's had this cash flowing asset for a long, long time. And people say, oh, no one made money in the bubble market in rentals. And that's bullcrap, because people did. Like my brother, they bought a property at the right price. And yes, the value of that house went down after a while, but he bought it for $43K, put some work in it. It was worth probably $85K in the bubble, which I thought was a stupid price for it. Then it became worth $50K. He still had a little bit of equity in it, which he couldn't tap because of the recession, but it still made money. And, he bought it 50% of what the market value was in the absolute technical peak in my region. April 2007 was the highest real estate price we've ever had. Buying a farm, I would love to. The prices here are unworkable unless you have mountains of cash. And I don't have mountains of cash. And if I did, I wouldn't be buying a farm. If I buy a farm, it's going to be out of the goodness of my heart, just because I would love to live on a farm. Do I predict an airplane crash? I don't know. Most messed up thing. Farmers make insane money. You should see the cars in my area where the farmers have. They have very nice vehicles. I don't know a single poor farmer. That's a whole nother argument. There's a lot of farmers that go bankrupt, but I've met quite a few farmers that have gone bankrupt, and the year before they had 10 to 15 million in cash. For the longest time in my area of central southern Ohio, the largest business under DuPont Chemical Corporation was a farmer. He had 30,000 acres, and right now acreage in my area is good farmlands, 8,000 an acre. So how many bed bug cases? Probably like 2. So it depends. I could go into the farm conversation a lot. So RV parks can be great. I don't know about Ireland. Why is Columbus, Ohio growing? Because businesses are coming here because of cheap cost, and the talent in Central Ohio is pretty good. What's the worst tenant I had? Probably the heroin dealer that had a shooting at his house. I know farmers that are in millions of debt, but they also have tens of millions in equity. So, hey, and if the mindset of you being in debt for farmland or for real estate is a negative thing, then I'm in that boat too, because I owe 1.5 to 1.6 million to my investors. So, Columbus could crash. It could, but we have a 3% unemployment rate, and if you have a pulse, you can get a job at $18 an hour, and you can live in one of Brandon's $300 a month rentals. So I'm in debt. Yes, I owe 1.65 million to investors and banks and that whole thing. And my real estate equity, or my assets, are 4 to 4.5 million. So if you feel like doing the math, you can figure out generally how much net equity there is. So, if you want to do the math, that's fine. So, well, see, the thing is with my properties, I can have a 50% vacancy rate. And in my region during the Depression, the highest vacancy rate was 25%. So we'd have to have a depression in the Midwest Ohio region that would be twice as bad as the Great Depression in the 1930s for me to go under. So, and most of my debt is private investment money, not banks, and it's all negotiable. So if I can't make payments because of a huge recession, then I have to call my investors and say, hey, instead of getting X amount of dollars a month, would you be okay with a diminished payment? And hey, Brandon's gonna stop paying himself. And from the big investors that I've run into that made it through the S&L crisis in the mid in 68, 86, 87, every investor was just fine with taking a haircut and then ramping up later. So traditional banks don't do that. You cannot get a haircut on a traditional bank loan. So it depends on what part of Florida. I know people that are buying $35,000 condos and renting them out for $800. What's my best investment so far? The YouTube channel, because I put no money in it whatsoever, and we've made crap loads of money. And I spend no time either on it. But the thing is, you weren't asking about that. You were asking what can you get into that's cheap. My low battery alarm's going on and on and on. Yeah. I think it's a little less than 35%. I want to say it's closer to 30. That's when I did my personal financial statement mid last year. It's and I paid off oh gosh, actually I take that. Okay. So I'm at 1.65 million in debt right now, but I have a contract on a couple properties that I have, and I'm doing like a long-term flip. I bought a house, I didn't fix it up, and we're going to do an Airbnb with it. This is going to be a multi-episode deal. And some very wealthy investor contacted me, and he said, you have the best house in the best location in this area. I want to buy it. And I said, all right, I gave him a number, and I will sell the place doing no work on it whatsoever. It'll be a $75,000 to $85,000 profit we'll make off of it. And my debt's going to go down about $200K. So that 1.65 probably by first quarter of next year is going to be downgraded to 1.2. And my asset pool won't dip below 4. So is that the best investment? I don't know. The trailer park's going to do very well. So do I do free rent deals? I have, and every single one was an abject failure, so I'm never doing them again. So unfortunately, do a burnout with my car. I did an accidental one. I'm in a Kia Forte, and I was at a light, or I was driving slowly, and the light was turning red, and I floored it. And the Kia Forte is front wheel drive, and the front tires broke loose on traction, and that was a bad set of tires I had. And I had this absolutely freaking amazing burnout, and it was in the middle of town, and I got out of there so freaking quick, and I pulled around, and I did a lap of 4 blocks, and when I came back, there was still the smoke hanging. It was amazing. No, I won't. But I was talking to Eddie the other day, and he's like, when you get your Cybertruck, we need to do the most bumpkin hillbilly things ever. And I said to him, all right, we're going to do off-roading, and we're going to go mud running. I'm going to do tractor pulls. I'm going to do whatever ridiculous content I can possibly find with that Cybertruck. It's going to be fun. We have something in Southern Ohio called the Southern Ohio Forest Rally. I would love to do the Forest Rally in a Cybertruck. Oh, General Lee is getting banned. Did I ban them all? Yes, I did. Do I have evidence the Earth is a globe? Where's the curvature? It's on Lake Erie. You can sit on a boat and you can't see Canada from it. Canada's 35 miles away. And if the Earth was not a curvature, you should be able to see the Canadian shoreline, and you can't. So that would do it for me, but your mileage may vary when you're out on a boat on Lake Erie. So how much do I pay for health insurance? I pay cash for everything. I do at HSA. So I don't know. If you guys would want to do a meetup in Columbus, we'll do one. I've thought about having that. So I have a lot against flat earthers because I teach science literacy classes, to people. And I've had kids show up with videos on flat earth, and we go through all the claims, because I would love for kids to learn the scientific process of, how do you determine truth from lies? And we did a lot of scientific experiments to determine whether the earth was flat or curved. And even through, we did, a dozen experiments, they still didn't believe me. And I think, well, that's interesting. But that was before my YouTube channel took off. So now I can address that stuff if I so desire. If the earth is flat, you would be able to see the sun and the moon during any given time. You ever think about that? So, yeah, I would purchase a condo in House Hack. House hacking is wonderful. HSA is a health savings account where you put tax-free money in an account, and then you use that account to pay out when you have medical bills. So, I've seen the simulations of supposed flat earth models where the sun and the moon are in the sky all the time and not a single one of them works. Because believe it or not, you can actually take a basketball and put a light and you do that track with a little map on the ground or whatever, how they have their model, and it doesn't work a single time. I mean, they have their computer models, and the computer models work on YouTube, but you can actually take a desk light and you try and copy them and it doesn't work. So cool. Dayton's a great market. I don't have much of an interest in being there. If I had to pick a market outside Columbus and Central Ohio, it would probably be Cincinnati. So, I can't show you what's in my pocket right now. I'm not afraid bunny boy yo. So, do I own apartments? Yeah, I own 4 or 5 quads and a couple 5-plexes, and I got the trailer park. So, I mentioned the rich friends because I want you guys to understand how poor I grew up. And now I hang with a bunch of relatively well-off people. And when I was growing up, it was like all these people talked about this massive conspiracy that all the rich are keeping the poor down, and you can't network with those people and everything like that. And it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I don't have any problem doing that. And I've got, I'm working on some, we'll probably do a meetup in LA at some point, because I've got a lot of people that are very well off people that are wanting me to fly out to Los Angeles and meet with them and do some heavy busy stuff. Do I spend a lot of time around rich people? Yes, I do. But the thing is, you would never know that they're rich. I mean, the richest guy I know drives a Hyundai. And the second rich person I know, I mean, they all drive cheap cars. I know a guy that has 4 Corvettes, but he's not the richest person I know by a far time. Trailer park, I want to be doing decent operations there by March. So that's my goal. I've been doing this for 38 minutes. Holy crap. My battery's about to die on my phone. Yeah, the gym project should be really fun. The deal is I'm not going to do a lot of work there. Eddie's going to do a lot of it. It's just certain areas. Tweeters are expensive here. Yeah, poor people can be extremely hard workers, or they can be lazy. You just have to find the right person. So you guys know I own a newspaper, right? So I kind of am the media, but I would agree with a lot of people that the media screwed up. Holy goodness. Patience plays a lot, because it took me 6 or 7 years to buy my first property. So yeah. If you want to be a spoonie, hang around spoonies. If you want to be rich, hang around rich people. If you want to be have good moral leanings, hang around good moral people. If you want to have not moral leanings, go hang around not moral people. Eddie is wonderful. Yeah, I thought about buying some cheap cars, driving them to the top of a hill, doing burnouts, getting them stuck, and then blowing them up. Spoonie, 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 spoonie. So I'm glad. I can't believe I had 200 people in this live stream. I just was going to show the house and turn it off, but you guys kept me around. It's crazy. And now I'm sitting in the parking lot of BP talking to people I've never met. Spoonie, spoonie, spoonie. No, I would love owning a bunch of cars. Sounds fun, but I would just never make money on it. It would drive me crazy. Yes, storage units are on the list. Yes, I've heard of bum fights. So No, I have never had a judge not evict somebody. That's never come up. I've never had anybody bring up a health reason, because I don't know that I've ever evicted somebody over a health reason. Because usually with a health reason, I sit down and I talk to people and say, how can we work this out, because you can't afford this place? I have to make money. And every single time there's been an issue with health, they've just moved out. The people that don't move out, there is something nefarious going on. As far as I'm concerned, they're pulling a scam. Every single person I've evicted has been pulling a scam. So yeah, you're some of your closest people you hang around. So I talked to this poor girl in front of one of my rentals, and she was high on heroin when I was talking to her, and she's like, I just don't understand my life, and I can't overcome this, and maybe one of these days I'll get into rehab. And I said, before you get into rehab, you need to assess the people you spend time with. I said, do you know that I've never met anybody other than my rental business? I've never known anybody in my life to use drugs. I don't know a single person that uses drugs. I don't know anybody that smokes pot either in my friend zone and the people I spend time with. I don't spend time around those kinds of people. And I said, so if someone would put a gun to my head and say, Brandon, you need to come up with 5 grams of heroin by tomorrow or I'm going to kill your family, I wouldn't be able to do that for the most part, because that's not a lifestyle that I've ever participated in. Yet when you spend time around those people, it becomes a very common thing, and you want to fit in. My nephew was at the laundromat, and he got an education on heroin usage from a person, and he just could not believe that people that do drugs hang out with each other all the time. Yes, it happens. He just could not believe it. So my phone is at 5%. It's auto darkened, and it says it's going to connect it. Medical marijuana is legal in the state of Ohio. They have not passed full legalization yet, but I'm sure they will. So thanks, guys, for watching. We might keep this up for a while. I'm not sure. Drugs are bad. Okay, yeah. Watch my video on the people of the rock if you hadn't. Do you guys see on my Instagram? If you're not following me on Instagram, you need to. They showed up at the house the next morning and had a yard sale in the house yard they were evicted from. A freaking yard sale. And the picture's on my Instagram at Investment Joy. So, yes, I do milk cap. So, thanks you guys for watching. My fun's at 4%.